address the Israeli-Hamas conflict in Gaza, rejecting rival United States and Russian resolutions. In Grenada, a ceremony to honor and remember the Cuban commanders who died during the U.S. invasion of Grenada 40 years ago was held near the Maurice Bishop International Airport. And in Mexico, hotels and streets took destroyed after Hurricane Otis entered the port of Acapulco. So far, the telecommunications are reported to be down, as well as a road blockage due to several landslides in the area. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll begin with the news. Stay with us. The indiscriminate bombardment by the Israeli army against the Palestinian people continues to devastate more and more houses. This time, 12 houses have been totally destroyed and another partially damaged. For the more details, let's watch a report for our correspondent in Gaza, Hura Hussein.
Nos encontramos en una de las zonas que fueron
We are in one of the zones that were bombed last night by the occupation army. This area is located near the Nasser hospital in the governorate of Jan Yunis, also behind the Orna College, where more than 1,000 Palestinians take shelter. As we can see, in this bombardment, more than 12 houses were totally destroyed by the occupation army. Each house, composed of 3 and 4 floors, even the surrounding houses, has been totally and partially damaged. According to eyewitnesses, these houses were not previously warned before they were bombed by the occupation army. We can see the vast destruction caused by this bombardment when we were assured that more than 5 missiles hit the area. We are talking about heavy missiles of long range. Unfortunately, more than 30 Palestinians were killed in this explosion, including children, women, the elderly, and more than 100 of them were injured. We are also informed that there might be still people under the rubble, under the ruins that the medical teams and the fire brigade have not been able to pull out yet. Now we are going to talk to an eyewitness who can tell us exactly how the bombardment of this area was carried out. Hello, can you tell us about what happened and what did you see?
A massacre against civilians. I arrived yesterday and I found fire all over the apartment. I didn't know what to take out of here. The remains of children's bodies, pieces of hands and legs spread all over the place.
Tell us about how many missiles fell and how much damage was caused.
It was only a missile, but look at the consequences. Maybe it was more than one. There are more than 12 homes completely destroyed, in addition to others with damage. Look how many more homes with damage. This is a real genocide. May God have mercy on the martyrs.
Yes, we have just been told that the damage has been massive. They said that it was a big explosion, more than just normal missiles. They said that there were several kilos of explosive. Unfortunately, several people were killed. Moreover, as they say before, it is an area that is close to a hospital, close to the Orna school, and unfortunately, an area with a lot of people. We can even see the damage to surrounding houses. 12 houses have been totally destroyed. There are houses around that have also been damaged very badly, and as we said, they have been bombed without warning. These were civilians' homes. There was nothing that could be harmful to the occupation army. But we can see how the objective of this occupation army is kill civilians, innocent people, children.
The U.S. Security Council has failed again to address the Israeli-Hamas conflict in Gaza, rejecting the rival United States and Russian resolution. The U.S. resolution will have reaffirmed Israel's right to self-defense and urge respect for international law, especially protection of civilians, and called for humanitarian passes to deliver respectively needed aid to Gaza. Wednesday's vote was 10-3 with 2 abstentions and was not adopted because both Russia and China has vetoes. During the Security Council session, the Chinese ambassador to the United Nations, Shang Yun, explained the reasons behind his country's veto over the draft resolution presented on the Gaza conflict.
What we oppose is that the draft text does not call on the parties concerned to stop the indiscriminate and asymmetrical use of force, nor does it call for a thorough investigation into the heinous attack on the Al-Ahli hospital. Such selective application of international law and double standards will only push more innocent civilians to the brink of death. What we oppose is that the draft text attempts to establish a new narrative on the Palestinian-Israeli issue, ignoring the fact that the Palestinian territories have been occupied for a long time and evading the fundamental issue of independence, statehood for the Palestinian people.
On Wednesday, at a meeting of Russian leaders, including the country's Jewish and Muslim representative, President Vladimir Putin called to side Gaza a real humanitarian catastrophe.
The fight against terrorism cannot be carried out according to the notorious principle of collective responsibility. When elderly people, women, children, entire families also die, where hundreds of thousands of people are left without shelter, food, water, electricity, and medical care, this is a real humanitarian catastrophe. Our main task is to stop the bloodshed and violence, otherwise severe and dangerously destructive consequences, and not only for the regions of the Middle East. This could spill far beyond the borders of the Middle East.
The New York Times brings to light investigation that completely destroyed the Israeli, UK, and US version of Al-Ahli hospital explosion in Gaza. The American newspapers revealed in images that an Israeli bombing was taking place and that 2 explosions can be seen near the hospital 2 minutes after impact. This investigation by the Times challenges one of the most publicized pieces of evidence Israel officials have used to defend their case and complicate the straightforward narrative they have presented. Palestinian babies are deprived of their mother's love due to the constant bombardment. For more details, let's watch the report of our correspondent in Gaza, Huraga Hegazi.
Esta es la historia de Makkah.
This is the story of Maka, a baby inside her mother's belly who managed to survive the occupation's missiles. The Israeli army bombed her family's home, and unfortunately, her mother and several members of her family were killed. Fortunately, doctors were able to operate on her lifeless mother and managed to bring Maka out safely.
When the mother arrived, the doctors reacted quickly and professionally. They opened the belly and were able to take the baby out. And the pediatrician who was there did the resuscitation. And now, as we can see, the baby is in the incubator. And her state of health is between intermediate and good. And she has started to eat. And this is a good sign.
Unfortunately, Maka's life and the life of many other babies in the incubators are in danger due to the power cuts. According to the doctors, the incubators and respiratory equipment could stop working at any time due to the lack of fuel, and that will mean the death of all the newborns in the incubators.
This is not the only child in danger, but all the children in the incubator are in danger. Since electricity is essential for them, and the babies need to be connected to breathing machines in order to live. This means that if the fuel for the incubators runs out, it means a death sentence for all these children.
Más de 3/4 de los
More than
hospitales
three-quarters of the hospitals in the Gaza Strip are out of service, a disastrous situation endangering the life of millions of Gazans. The occupation army's missiles have caused Makkah, like many other babies, to be denied of the affection of their mothers, a criminal entity that does not differentiate between children, women, or the elderly, and whose only objective is to kill and destroy.
U.S.A, teleSUR, Gaza, Palestina.
Let's take a very first break, but remember you can now join us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates and more. Stay tuned for News. Welcome back to From the South. On Wednesday, the Attorney General of the Republic of Venezuela, Tarek Williams, announced an investigation in relation to the irregularities occurred during the primary elections held by the sector of the opposition on October the 22nd. The Attorney General confirmed the investigation against the National Primary Commission for the alleged crimes of usurpation of electoral functions, identity theft, money laundering, and criminal associations. In this sense, Tarek also described the primary election process as fraud and announced that the President and the Vice President of the National Primary Commission will be called to testify in the coming days.
It is crystal clear that they committed a crime on the sidelines of Constitution, so it will have the due aftermath. I feel that we, as announcers, we contribute to a climate of political stability. We respect democracy and Constitution, and most of all, voters. There were some resignations in the context of this mockery on Sunday.
The Attorney General of Venezuela, Tarek Williams, denounced that among the illegal acts in which the opposition could have incurred during the development of the primaries is the usurpation of identity.
Identity usurpation. As the names, surnames, and ID cards of thousands of people who did not attend the electoral event were used. But in reality, when the number of votes were announced, the identity of these people was obviously usurped in order to increase the figures.
The government of Venezuela took control of the Tocuyito Penitentiary Center in Carabobo State as part of the Operation Gran Cacique, Guaycaipuro. The information was confirmed by Minister of Interior, Justice and Peace, Admiral-in-Chief Regino Ceballos, and added that said facilities is now under the orders of the Ministry of Popular Power of the Penitentiary Services. This is done with the purpose of advancing and deepening the work of dignifying the prisoners in compliance with the instructions given by President Nicolás Maduro.
The progress we have achieved here by taking over this center, where there were more than 2,000 inmates, has been a total success, and we will continue to move forward.
Ceballos highlighted evolution of the operation, which led them control 99% of the penitentiaries and dismantle the criminal groups which were operating from there.
We can say that we have 99% of our penitentiaries under control, and we're very close to being able to guarantee the control of those that need some specific adjustments. So we continue advancing in this great policy and fulfilling the precise instructions of our President Nicolás Maduro Moros to bring peace and tranquility.
On Wednesday, a ceremony was held in Grenada near the Maurice Bishop International Airport, built by the Cuba to honor and remember the Cuban commanders who died during the U.S. invasion of Grenada 4 years ago. The solemn event was visited by Grenada's Premier Dick Mitchell, the first time as Irving Prime Minister has attended the ceremony organized in the framework of the U.S. invasion. During his intervention at the event, Prime Minister Mitchell referred to the 25 Cuban victims of the U.S. military forces and assured that Cuba does not support terrorism but supports solidarity. Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, where you'll be able to watch our interviews, top stories, special broadcasts, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. One final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. In Mexico, hotels and streets look destroyed after Hurricane Otis entered the port of Acapulco. So far, telecommunications are reported to be down, as well as roads blockage due to several landslides in the area. The Secretary of National Defense sent more than 700 elements to Guerrero to help the civilian population affected by the Hurricane Otis. As part of this contingent, 3,107 elements were sent to the mountainous region of the state, to the municipality of Chilpancingo, the Bravos, General Liriotos, and more. China will send its youngest ever crew of astronauts to the Tiangong space station this week, as Beijing purpose plans for an manned mission to the moon by the end of the decade. Tiangong is the crown jewel of Beijing's spatial program, which is also landing robotic rovers on Mars and the Moon, and made China the third country to put humans in orbit. Shifting topics, for those who want to know how the art of capoeira could be related to the water, the Cuban Mufti proposed the history of the Director of Hydrology and Hydrogeology of the National Institute of Hydraulic Resources of Cuba. Our correspondent Fabiola Lopez with the details.
They
say he's the best-known hydraulic engineer in Cuba today. They call him the waterman. The truth is that his image is irregular on Cuba's newscast. The Master of Science, Argelio Fernandez, usually updates the country's hydrological situation. His presence on TV was an accident. He never forgets his first time on screen.
That first time was the only time I felt comfortable. I thought it was a game, but they told me, let's do a test, and if it goes well, you stay. That phrase gave me the impetus to stay. Every time people pose me a challenge, I do it well, and in all modesty, that day I was spectacular. I felt nervous every time, a little bit in the second, third week. I must admit, reporting on TV has changed my life. When I go out on the street, I'm aware of having an audience. At the onset, people did not know anything about what I reported because it was a new subject, a new discipline. But now people know. Now people manage what I report. They ask me questions.
Argelio is famous in Cuba. Everyone knows he's an expert on rainfall, runoff, filling of reservoirs and groundwater, but very few know his fondness for capoeira.
Capoeira is in your blood, thus it is in your inside to the death. Capoeira, I didn't even sing in the shower. Practitioners of dance fighting have to sing, have to compose a song at some point. Capoeira's practitioners are not dancers but dance. They're not acrobats but do acrobatics. They are not martial artists but they fight. Loving dance fighting or capoeira is just so, a way of being, a life philosophy.
Argelio siempre fue entusiasta de las artes marciales.
Argelio's always been fond of martial arts, and he did karate and taekwondo, but in the latest years he wanted to do something else closer to Cuban's idiosyncrasy, closer to the Afro-Cubans' typical joy, and he found so by the time he went to Brazil. There, he was captivated by the sound of the betting boat that led him to a capoeira circle.
Cubans, Afro-Cuban, and Afro-Brazilian cultural practices are much alike. We are very close. Cubans are 100% rhythm. Cubans are 100% joy. Cubans are fighters. Cubans are warriors. And those features have to do with capoeira.
He explains there are stigmas and biases against capoeira. People often attach it to occultism, but he wishes dance fighting have more practitioners in Cuba.
We are willing that practitioners of dance fighting gain further recognition, that is, to remove current stigma and biases against capoeira, and most of all, current practitioners must contribute to remove those negative opinions. When people see me, they think if Argelio, who is a public figure, an official, a professional, an engineer, a scientist, practices capoeira, it has to be a good sport, and particularly by the time they visit the dance fighting circle, people will notice capoeira's cultural baggage.
A Argelio le gusta polemizar.
Argelio likes debating. He warns race and racial biases should be further discussed.
In a certain way, I'm far from the stereotype of the black criminal, the black dancer, the folklore black. I'm far from the current stereotype of practitioners of dance fighting existing in half the world, which is the black man with dreadlocks and no shirt. I'm far from all stereotypes. So, many people sometimes say, you speak very good. And no, I speak as good as many people, but as I am black, I am more noticeable. I say I'm proud of being black. I mean, I've been practicing a black martial art for 16 years. I've been practicing a black religion for 25 years. And I've been black for 51 years. Hence, the subject of race captivates me along everything it comprises.
El máster en ciencias. Adelante.
Argelio is an engineer, a television presenter, a practitioner of dance fighting, and a religious man who practices the U.S.A. cult but reinvents himself every day. He says he enjoys having plenty of projects, among them inserting the Havana Aqueduct in the world network of water museums and contributing to the spread of dance fighting or capoeira in Cuba.
Fabiola López, TeleSUR, La Habana.
We have come to the end of this news brief, but before saying goodbye, we want to thank our Caribbean audience, especially the audience of Trinidad and Tobago. We are pleased to share our newscasts and contribute to provide an alternative news sources of the latest world events, tell you life stories of the people of the South and break hegemonic media dominance. And you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net, and also join us on our socials from Facebook, on X, and on Instagram as well. TeleSUR English, I'm from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.